All right, so yeah, good morning, everyone. So let's just go over what we did in the last class. So the last class we talked about conditionals, and we learned that conditionals are useful, as the name implies, displaying things based on a particular condition. If a condition is met, then you are able to display. You're able to you're able to display that the particular, let's say, code or anything. So we looked at you can we looked at two major ways of displaying things. So we looked at short circuits. We also looked at ternary, yeah, using ternary operator that's coming all the way from JavaScript. And for short circuits, we looked at you using the or and the and. So when you're using something like or, we learned that if you have something of this sort, so usually you have, a variable which is coming from our use states, and then or the fallback. So if there is no value for this, definitely it picks up the second one. But if there's a value for this, it takes this one. That was what we learned about, well, short circuit. That's for the or. Then we also learned about the and for and we said you display based on if a particular condition is met. So something of like this. So if you have show, for instance, so you're saying that if this show is true, then you should display this. But if show is false, this guy will never display. And then we also learned that when you're using and like this, you can return You can return a set of elements. You can return a component like this. Now we return the component here. So then you're able, let's see. Let me see this good. Show and there's hide. So show and then hide. So when show is true. So this is just you using your you're just toggling the states. So if show is available, you're returning this. But if show is not available, you don't display anything. So that was a way to render it. So we use this method if you're using your and. Then we also, I know we played around with this, but yeah, this has nothing to do with conditionals. It was just you checking out the color, how you can toggle color and all of that. Well, I don't even know if that was an expo for our task, but that helped. And then we also learned about using conditionals, when you're fetching data. So let's say, for instance, when loading is true, your information doesn't show first. Instead, you have loading show first. Okay, so loading, it shows, and then eventually it comes in. So initially, loading shows, but then when the information is available, you're now able to play it and then remove the loading aspect of it. So yeah, we learned about that. Learned learned about that. So we also learned about, how to use the set timeout kind of to delay it so that, for some seconds, it doesn't just, because without this set timeout, I'm not saying you should do it in your work, but we're only trying to slow down uh, the fetch so that we can see the loading for a bit and then get the data. Because if I don't do the set timeout, it will actually be very fast. Well, depending on your network. If you have a slow network, then it might take a longer time to fetch. So you see that the set loading will be true for a longer period of time. So before the main information comes in. So we looked at that. I think one other thing that we learned was that, yeah, if you want to use a conditional for use effect, or for in fact any React, for most React hooks, you cannot wrap a React hook inside, can't wrap it inside a conditional. So you're using for this our use effect now. The conditional has to be inside it within the use effects block. So that's how it works. That's how it works. So I don't know if anybody has any question from the last class before we jump into what we have today, because yeah, my board is really messy and I think I would like to clear it. Does anybody have any questions so far? And raise your hand. You can, yeah. I believe we understood what we did. Okay. So if you're clear on it, you can just respond in the chat so that I know at least. Okay, are we good? Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I am clearing this board. So we start something new. So today I intend doing two things actually. I intend doing two things. Yeah, one of them is we are going into forms. We're going into forms today. We are going to look at controlled inputs. Then I will also like to, if there's time, go into implementing the color changer. I don't know if anybody had any challenge with that, because it was, well, relatively not difficult. I mean, did anybody have any challenge with it? Okay, so is it with regards to the what do they call it? The color changer, Gochuko? Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So, looking at your work, the sample you gave us, I
Yes.
saw that the hex and the sample function was in two different HTML pages. And in the tags you gave us, it said we should only give our work one page. And
Yeah. Okay. Go on.
it was wrapped in a router. So,
Okay.
and you asked us to use one page to do that. And I, I think it is possible, but in the instruction, it was a bit conflicting, knowing that the sample is in two pages and you said you want, I don't know if you wanted the hex and sample function to still be inside the,
Um,
the
okay.
work you gave us. And you did not give us the instruction of building that part out. You just said you wanted the color changer. So I want to know if it will affect my score or if it will not. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, Danny, your hand is raised.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I know I missed some classes, so I'm a bit behind. So I don't know if what I'm confused on has been treated. But my main challenge, in as much as I got it done, like I did that hex and changing to hex and simple this thing modes, but the way I did it, I know that it's not a very, effective way of going about the whole thing. So I am confused if, because just like the first person said, from the this thing you gave us, it's two different pages. So I was now confused on how to actually implement the whole, the two pages, rendering the hex and the simple this thing. So that's just where my confusion is coming from, because the way I did it, it's not nice at all, but it's working,
Okay.
shall, but eh.
All right. All right. Okay. So I think, okay. So first things first, I know the one I gave us was, yeah, it had two different pages. Well, when I did that particular task, when I was doing it with HTML and CSS, that was what came to mind. Then, so I think when I even got the inspiration was when I saw people taking up the challenge, and I didn't update. Like, I didn't update. I wasn't really this thing keen about the hex or this thing. What I just needed was, even if you did one, but when I saw people doing beyond, when I saw people doing the whole switching from one tab to the other and all of that, it made more sense. Now, you're thinking about router. The thing is, we've not done routing in this class. And I would like someone to maybe get stuck because of that. Yes, I know it's intermediate. You can source for information and all of that. But yeah, I actually like taking things gradually, 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 and then we get to where we want to be. So the whole router stuff, we'll get to that point. But there are other ways of handling it on a single page. And I thank God that you guys were able to spot that out, because I didn't think about it, but it made a whole lot of sense. So we're going to do it. We'll do it in class. I just hope that what I want to handle, we can handle it quickly and then move on. But if I don't get to do it, yeah, then we'll have to, like, maybe in the next class we'll just handle it, and then yeah. At some point, you guys even need to, yeah, you guys will get your hands dirty and all of that. You start working together and be hitting your head together on GitHub. So cherish it now. Okay, so any other challenge or question? So Danny, we'll implement it in class. I don't know any right or wrong way, but yeah, this is code can always be refactored. So we'll just do it, and then from there we'll now look for ways to refactor it and so on and so forth. We've learned a whole lot, so definitely there are better ways of doing it. I saw people using components, I saw people using use states and so on and so forth. So yeah, not bad. Okay, so let's go on. Let's go on. So today we are talking about controlled inputs. Talking about talking about controlled inputs. So what is a controlled input? And funny enough, I've not even, we'll just do a quick form together and just, yeah, and roll with that. I know here we're supposed to be focused on React and not even HTML, but then it is what it is. So a controlled input is an input. 1 minute. Okay, so sorry about that. Hmm. So a controlled input is an input element whose value is controlled by the state, the React component. So you're using states to manage the value of that input element. So that's like what a controlled input is. You're using states to manage the value. So if you update the state, if you update the state, the value is updated, and then you're storing this in inside a state. So that's why it's called a controlled input. So when we start building it, I'm going to explain it in more detail so that we get to understand that. Okay, so let's just build out a simple let's just build out a simple form. So just a moment. So my form is just going to be very simple. Okay, so I'm just going to use this div, still using my book list. And I've cleared everything here so that, yeah, we don't get so confused with a whole lot of code and all of that. For those of us that used to claim Blackboard in primary school that time. Okay, so mind my old memories. Okay, so we have this book list, and please don't mind the name of my component. I'm just using it because that's just what is tied there. I could change it to anything that I want it to be. So we're just going to create inside this div now. I'm just going to do a form, and this form, I don't think I need this action. No, I've never needed it. Okay. Okay, so form. And then this form is going to take, please, those people that know HTML and CSS. So this form, I'll just do a div because I just want to separate each of them. All right, I didn't get that. What are you? Okay. All right.
I wanted to change the function, the book list, so that we will not get
Okay.
confused.
All right. So let me just call it controlled input. Yeah. So, well, that's a fine argument. So let me just leave it as app. Know that you can actually, okay, you can actually render this in a different. So let's just do it maybe the right way, or however best this would have been represented. So I need to come inside here and I need to import. Okay, so open it. Okay, so I hope my page is still showing. Let me just confirm that. Okay, so yes. So we have this. What I am just going to do is I'll just do a component for it. So new file, and I will just call it controlled inputs .jsx. Okay, so I'm moving what I am doing here. Just moving this form. And I'm just going to import controlled inputs here. Okay. Yeah, it's probably not coming up because I've not done anything. RAFCE. Okay, so let me come back here. Control, yeah, so controlled inputs is coming from components, and I have it inside here. So I just go inside here. Well, I'll just put this. So for some crazy reason, I could just decide to remove this other div and just have only the form here. I think that can still work. Move this guy. Okay. So let's see. Let's go on. Inside here. So I believe we're clear on that. We understand how the component is coming in and so on and so forth. Um, so let's go on. So I will have a label here. Now the thing with label in React is that it does not, you don't use for here, you use HTML4. And the way we learned it, I don't know if that was handled in your, well, when you were doing HTML. This for has to tie down to the ID of the input that you're going to be using. So let me just let me put an input here. Thinking, well, this is not a HTML and CSS class anyway. So input type of text. Let me just give it an ID. So ID here is probably just going to be. So I'm actually thinking of just picking name. So I'm just going to go with name. So name and email, that's just what I'm going to take. I'll say name. Okay. Let's give this a label of name. So this HTML4 here is meant to tally with this ID here. So I'm supposed to have like name here. All right. So just doing this the crude way anyway. My form is actually just going to be. Alternatively, let me just wrap this inside a div. Yeah, so I'm just separating concerns. Okay. All right, let me see what we have. So let me just give this a title. So I should just bring back my div. Still harm in using that. So here I'll just do a H3 and I'll just say control and I bring back my form. All right. Strange. Okay. So why is nothing showing? Okay, did I miss out anything? Inside here, I have this. Okay, I didn't save this. Okay, so I have my name. So I'll leave the styling for you guys. Controlled inputs. I have this div. I'll just do another one. And yeah, let's do another. What again? Well, you get the point. So for this other one, so this should be email. And the email has to tally with this one as email. Then what other thing will we did here? So let's just go with Okay, let me just go with address. And okay, yeah, you're right. Thank you. Okay, so then I just need a button. So let me just leave it here. And I'll just say submit. Give this a type. Type. Yeah, thank you. Hmm, okay, interesting. Okay, so we have this, and obviously we don't have any CSS here. Don't have any CSS here. Well, I could just do this, or I could just create a CSS file here. I'll just say, what is it supposed to be? Um, controlled inputs, CSS. And I'm meant to import this inside here. Import, doing a dot slash. Well, that's a fine argument. That's a fine argument. Okay. So in essence, what you're saying is we should create a styles folder and do it inside there. Inside the components, is that what you mean? Mallocs, is that what you mean?
I mean, a style folder can't a style folder just be on its own, just like we have components, assets, or should it even be inside the assets? I don't know. I'm just asking.
Well, it
Sorry,
depends on,
but
yeah,
sorry. My own is that like I've seen most times they put it alongside inside the component folder, like the style inside the
yes,
component folder, rather than
yeah,
putting it.
okay. Okay, so I get your point. Hmm. Okay. Okay, okay. So let's just take it. Let's step back. So that can work where you have like inside your components, you have like a folder for different components, and it might not necessarily even be a styles folder. So let's say, for instance, this controlled input here, I just have like maybe a folder, and I'm trying out something anyway. So. And inside this controlled inputs, so I'll just move this to, pressing the right way. Okay, so let me remove this, rename to index SX. Okay, okay, so let's see, let's go back here. Okay, okay, well, so decide this method. So let's see if this still works. So this used to be a convention where you have like well, your controlled inputs. Then you have the component name, you have this, then you have the CSS. So this is just, you know that this is just for this particular, yeah, this particular component. It used to be a convention. So you can use this method, but you having a styles folder separately, well, the thing is, most times the styles is usually married to like the JSX itself. So you keeping it apart, uh, that's somehow. So you can use this convention instead. If you want, like you want to just separate concerns, you can use this convention. I don't know if is that clear for you, Malox? Okay, okay. So let's just continue. So this is my CSS. I think the major thing I would even like to just style here is just, so let me just say the BTN. I know I've already done this somewhere. I'll just copy it. Mm, CSS. The alternative, I could just use the general this thing, and it will still work. Just use the general CSS, and it still works. So I think I've now saved my index. Did I? So inside here, I'm just going to do import dot slash. Okay. Yeah, so we have this. Let me just give margin top. Okay, so yeah, not styling this thing in the best of, this is not the best kind of approach. And this thing is looking like it wants to escape from the box. We just do 15 pixels instead. All right, so we have this, we have this, we have this. So we just have these things. Now, well, for controlled inputs, like I said, this is just, you're going to be using states to manage these things. So we have this inputs, we have these input fields, and now we're looking for a way to track like the value. Now remember in JavaScript, what used to be the convention was when you have an input, you do document dot get the element by ID, you select the inputs, you now do dot value. Hope we remember all of that. We've forgotten our humble beginnings. All right, all right. So, well, all right. Well, the task that I gave you for the first, you guys are not serious. So the task I gave you for the first, at least you guys used, okay, yes. When you want to search now, you use dot value now. What else do you want to use? People doing as if it's like eternity ago. Okay, so yes. So what we'll be doing now, so instead of doing that method, what we are going to do here is we are just going to use states where I'm just going to have like name and I'll have set name. And then we'll now have our use states. That sounds like use this. And yeah, we'll have an empty string. Now, for us to use this, for us to use this, so we have this, and we are going to use this to be managing the state here. So we need a value property on this. Now that value property is going to be tied to this. So whatever is your state here, you're going to tie it. So you're using it, value is equal to this. Do I need to zoom out a bit? You guys can see clearly, right? Or I still need to zoom a bit. I know we've not spoiled our eyes up to that extent anyway. All right. So another thing that we need when we are working with input is the unchanged listener. So unchange. Now, well, what we are looking at is the input now. So we want to be able to change the value. So remember, this value is tied to this input. So we are now saying on change. On change is listening for any change in the input value. So as you're changing the value here, this state is being updated. So what we are going to do is, what we're going to do is we are going to just do what we've been doing since, where we do our set name. And now this guy, this is sensitive. So we are passing an event here. And what you're checking for is the event, the targets, dot value. So you're setting, so whatever the person types inside here, you're updating it here. So remember, this has to be there. And this is an event. And you know, with event, you have access to the target. And with the target, you have access to the value. So on change, as I'm typing, you want this state to be updating. And this is actually going to be stored there. So let's see how this goes. All right. Anybody confused up to that point? I've actually not used this, what do they call it? This React dev tool. So we're just going to play around with this. I hope this chat box isn't confusing you guys. So I have this controlled input. Okay. Okay. Timed out one expecting element. I shouldn't have done that. Okay. So we have a state here. We have a state. Let me just check something out. Okay. So notice what is happening here. So we have a state, and this, when you open your app, so this is the app that is wrapping like everything. And for some crazy reason, I think there is just something I'm not doing. Let me go to my index.css. I want to remove, for some of us, I think I saw this, margin 0, padding 0, box sizing, border box. Okay, so old habits that I had. Wow, it's now married to this thing. Okay. In any case, I think we can still work with that. I don't want to perfect styling yet. So we have a state. If you come to our controlled input, and I think I actually need to just do stuff right. And I'll just go inside here. Yeah. Let's just deal with what we have to handle. There's actually a bad habit anyway, where everywhere has just it's just filled with different types of things that you're not using. Okay, so we have these states, which is what name. So this name, remember, is tied to this, and then we are saying that we are getting the event, the target, and then the value that we are putting inside here, tied to the name attributes. If I don't have this, what is life? Okay. And I say I want to try this. Oh, oops, really? It actually does work. Okay, well, definitely to work. Definitely to work. Reason being that this is what we are trying to achieve here. Okay, but for 6, this is actually just put here. I think it has a function. Maybe that is not coming to mind now. But because this is set name, this state will definitely change. But for you to tie it to this particular input, you need this value. So this value has to be tied to this so that you know what you are, and what you're putting inside. So now take note of this state. So this state, we have only one state here. So if I decide to type my name, automatically this updates down here. I hope this is not blocked. So this state is updated as I am typing. If I delete, so you see it updates because it's listening to unchanged. Something is changing, so it's listening to that event and it's updating the state according to that listen. Now, because I do not have other states, yeah, because I don't have other states, even if I try to do all of this and all of this, nothing happens. So that is why you explicitly have to like, so I have address, I have this, and notice that this is set to an empty string. Alternatively, if I had done this, okay, I think something is broken down here. Well, I think because I'm repeating the same this. Okay, so I think the reason why this value is here is not just for 6 anyway. So let's just see. Okay, if I do not have this, interesting. Yeah, so for here now, you now see that, well, there's nothing tied inside here. Okay, and it even makes more sense now. Okay, so normally, when we are using use states, you can put a default value. But because we did not put a value, we didn't tie a value to this our input. We didn't put that value. So this unchanged will work. But what if you wanted the the input to have an initial value? So that's why you needed this. So automatically, I need to refresh this guy. It's always uh, okay. Yeah. So, no, no, it wasn't updated. So if you needed it to have like an initial state, yeah, this is it. And so you need that value. You need this value for it to work if you want to set an initial state. But if you omit this and still do this, it will still work. But the right convention is you have this. So you set it to an empty state. So that makes your input field empty whenever you are starting out. Now, when you do that, we're just going to do same for the other ones. I'm just going to copy this, and I will come here, put this, and I will just say email, and I will just do set email, though I've not created this. Okay, so inside here, let me just read the states at once. So email. Well, so we're coming to that. Slow down. So I'll explain that. So email, and then we have what? Address. Well, React is interesting. This should be set address. I can spell. Okay, so I'll just copy this guy. I will just put it here. Okay, so instead of email, I'm having address. And then this will be set address. Okay, so let's see, where are we? I think I have put those. I think I have put those. So let me come to my components. Okay, awesome. Why is it breaking? For crying out loud. Okay, so we have three states here. Well, states that are not Abia, Umaya, and Umaya is state. Okay, so here, I'm just going to just fill this information for Gertrude's. And if I remember my email and my address, don't come and find me. Well, that's what I'm saying. You guys should just slow down, slow down, slow down. I know. Okay, so we have these three states, and as you can see, if I make a change anywhere, it automatically updates the states. Then we now have, yeah, same thing for name, email, and the address. We have all of those here. Leave them, they don't want us to take things gradually. So this is when you are using like three different use states. Three different use states. So in any case, I will come to that. Come to that. I'm going to come to what everybody is saying on the chat there. But what I would like to do is I will remember the way functions actually work, or forms. So we are just going to create an onSubmit function. So I'm supposed to have a const in front. OnSubmit is equals to, so now, interesting. So there are two ways we can actually do this. One of it is you could put this on the button. You can just have your on click. I can spell click. On click. And I will just have my own submits. Okay, so what happens is that after I fill this form and do everything, yeah, something will happen here. So let me just do console.log. Console.log. And let me just say a value. So I will just do this. I will do what do they call it? Name, email. Well, I'm supposed to do a comma there. And address. Right. I'm supposed to have a comma here. Okay, so we're going to have one problem here. And okay, will we or will we not? So let me just refresh this page because I kind of feel like that guy is acting up. Filling this manually. All right, so I'm supposed to see something in my console, right? If I click this. So what happened? What issue did we have? Yeah, you guys have been watching me. What issue do we have? I finished doing this. I finished. Yeah, anybody can just, you can raise your hand and yeah, give a go at it. There's a problem with my form. What is the problem with my form? We've done JavaScript now. What's the problem with the form? I have a problem. Are you guys with me? Can you guys hear me? Hello? Okay. So I have a problem here. And the problem is, well, yeah. So this is the code. This is the code. I said there are two ways of doing this. I have the on submit tied to this button here. So on click, this should run. So I've set up my code how I think it's supposed to be, but we're having a challenge here. So what is the challenge? What is the challenge? Nobody. Nobody's getting. Doesn't do you, are you guys with me? Because it's awfully silent. Yeah, so what's the challenge? What is the problem? Why are we not seeing our values? I'm supposed to see the values after doing everything, but why am I not seeing the values? Okay, as you wish. Uh so I'm removing this. Somebody's suggestion. Yeah, Abdul okay, Adebayo's suggestion. So I'm putting this on the form and then on submit. I can spell. And I am putting this guy. So we go back and try again. And well, okay. Yeah. So what is the issue? Still didn't work. I can't see anything inside my console. What's the challenge? Why are we having that? Yeah. Why are we not getting our value? You guys should think now. We've done this thing before. If this is a normal form in HTML and CSS, what will you do? There's no there's no hard way out of this. Okay. Okay. Now you guys are starting to think. Okay, so where am I supposed to put the prevent default? Even our okay, so e dot prevent default. Okay, so how could you have forgotten this? So you do this event, prevent default. Let's try this now and see if that works. So just put my name, put my email, put this, and submit. And then you see the values here. So preventing defaults was the issue. So you needed to have done well, prevent the default. So anytime when you're dealing with form, because by default, your form will try to refresh your page. Yeah, so that's the thing. So on click, yeah. So I will just do the same thing, and you can either use on click or you can use on submit. Personally, I prefer on submit on the form listing. But if you're using that, I don't know if you remove this and try that, will it still work? Let me confirm this. So let me refresh and just do something. Yeah, so this has to be a form. Okay, sorry. Control Y. Thought I had Control Z up to that point. So on submit, have the on submit. Okay, so let me try it without this and just clear our doubts. Okay, so even without the type of submits, the first it has a submit there. This still works. This still works. All right. So we've been able to try that out. We've seen that there are two methods of doing this. Two methods. Either you use either you use um either you use on click here or you use on submit. And that is fine. Okay, so I think the other thing I would like to talk about, so currently we are using three different states. Let's say we are thinking of using a different approach. So I'm just going to comment this. So let's say this is a person's information. So I can just say person. So another method would just be to use an object. So instead of this, you just have an object where you have like name is an empty string, you have email, an empty string, you have okay, so you have email and then you have address, which is what? An empty string. Now sounding like an empty street. Okay. Yes, yes, and yes. So, but now, thing is, if you are using this method, So I'll just do person instead. If you're using this method, you now have to explicitly, okay? Okay, so you now have to do person.name here. And person email. Okay, and yeah, person.address. Okay, but then again, so we now have to change this to like, interesting. Interesting. Okay, so we now have to change it to like, sorry. So instead of this, we now change it to set person. Sorry. Okay, so I need to change all of this. Sorry for that. Brief silence. Now, so I think if I am doing this, I am right. This should go something of this sort, where I spread out person, and then I will say this is which one, email. So I'll say email. Okay, right. Okay, so I need to be clear on this. So I spread out the person object, and then I'm updating this one. Okay, so let me just do the same for each and every one of them. I am believing. So this should be name. And then this should be address. Okay. All right, so let's see how this plays out. Let's see how it plays out. Does this still work? So inside here, refresh. Some crazy reason. So I have this. So address, email, and name. So let me just start. Okay, so you see, this is updated. So I hope all of these things, I'm having like, I have a ton of cards on my page. So I hope it's not blocking you guys. So yeah, name is updated here. I can update email. I can update my address. And you see a single state, and you're able to update your information in this manner. So I don't know if we're clear on this. So if I click on this, I think I should still get my value as an object. Yeah. So does anybody have any questions so far? So far? Do we understand what I did? Do we understand the way I did it? I need us to be clear on that. And can you guys still hear me? Okay. So what is happening is I'm using an object instead. I'm using an object instead. And remember, we said we are tying this value, the value, you're not tying it to the person object because the person is an object. You're tying it to the individual stuff, the individual, yeah, you're tying it to the individual property. So that's why we have person.name. Now for the unchange, what you are changing is you are changing the name inside this. You're not changing the whole object. So you spread out the person object. So that means whatever is the value of this guy still remains as it is. But the name, so this has to match whatever you're changing. The name has to be, so remember, key value pair. This is an object, key and value. So the name is still this name. The value is what? The event, the target, the value. So that is what we put here. So that's what it updates this place. So when I change this, it updates this because this is an object. And notice the way I did it. It's an object. I'm spreading the person inside here. And then when it meets the one that has the name, it updates it with this particular value. You get? I hope you understand. Danny, are you clear now? So the same thing goes for each and every one of them. So you have to do set person and so on and so on. Okay, so that is that. That is that. Um, so that is for getting the values. That is for getting the values. But then let's say, for instance, I want to I want to update. Yeah. So if I do that, if I do this, let's say I want to update, like, let's say I have like a people, like I'm creating, so this is a single person and I want like people const people. Okay, so set people. This will, well, what will our default value be here? What will our default value be here? Are we together? Did we take part before coming to class today? What will be our default this thing now? This is people states. So what will you use as the default? Is an array. So okay, so I have this now. Now what I would like to do, what I would like to do is after I've put in a person's information, because I want to display like people, different people. So okay. So what I would like to do is inside here now. So when I get a person, let's updated. Let me just call it updated array because name not in my head. Okay, so let's updated array be equals to an empty array, and then well, is that it? Does this work? Hmm. JavaScript people, come and help me out. So I don't want the conventional push per se. I don't want the conventional push. So this, I'm supposed to spread people and then add what? Person, right? I think that's the approach. And then I will set, and then I will set people to what? Updated array. Should this work? Should this not work? This work? This not work. Okay. Yeah, so let's try this out. Let's try this out. Go to components. For some reason, my state is usually preserved. That it should preserve my beverages. Okay. What is happening? What's happening? Okay. Okay. Okay, so we have an empty listing. So I'll just put my name, my email, and address. Okay, so so I have this here. Yeah, so I have that. I am supposed to also, so another thing is after doing this, I'm supposed to like set person to an empty state. So if I do it as an empty object, I think that should work. And why does this guy like me refreshing it? Hot reload is not working again. Okay. Okay. So I think I'm just supposed to bring back this. Yeah, because that's the only way to work. I think at this. Yeah. So remember that it's the inputs are tied to person dot this thing, person dot that. So probably an empty object will not suffice. So let's see. Let's try again. Okay, so you see, it takes it back to the normal state. Let me add again. Austin. And Austin. And address. Yeah. Okay. So I have two items here. So let me just do A. Yeah. Okay. So we so you guys, I believe you guys understand what is going on now, what we are doing. Then based on this, based on what we have now you can now decide. So we're able to get like we're able what is the challenge? Please, you guys need to go and rewatch the video. Okay. So the thing is we are just pushing this inside where we are getting person, we are getting the value of person, and then we are pushing it inside an array again, like we are updating our array and then we are setting it inside set people. So we are trying to add people, let's say people that are in React class, you're trying to like create a roster or something for them or a log for them or a biodata of for them. So we have people, we now have like it's an empty array. So when you get that person's information, oh, Barry, I did not see that hand though. Yeah, Barry, what is your question?
Okay. Okay. For line 19,
Yes.
I was actually thinking, what if we just put everything in the set people function instead of having that updated array?
Yeah, stuff is, I like people to understand what is going on bit by bit. So I think that that will still work. That will still work actually. So alternatively, you can just do this. But why not? So that will still, I think that will still work. But let me just try it out anyway. Let me do that. Hmm. So still works. So that still works. That still works. So just in case. Okay, so then the other thing, the other, I don't know if every other person understands what is going on. So what is happening is I have an empty array. I have an empty array initially for people. So each time we submit this form, we get a particular person's information. Now that information now you call the set people, you call set people. Now set people, well, takes this array, you spread out the current value of people inside here, and then you update it with this one. Same thing that we did for like this spread out. Then this one is picking a particular property and is updating it. But this guy, yeah, so this guy is doing the same thing. This is updating the people, yeah, it's updating this empty array with the value of this person. So that's why you see that if you check here now, we have this object and the other object. So it's more like push. It's more like when you're doing push and so on and so forth. So, but then the other thing I want to do is after everything, I just want to display this information. So depending on how you want to display this, what I could do, I could just say, I'm not styling this thing properly, so just bear with me. So I'm just going to do, let's say, so if people, so let's see if this works anyway. I'll just do a div here. From the way I'm looking at it, the other distance if we might not be able to do it. So inside here now, I just want to do what? Let me just do a H4. Yeah, I'll just do, oh, I'm supposed to map here actually. Okay, so people and people map. I go. Okay, so mapping does what? Takes this guy and then returns this guy. So I'll just cut this. So because it's an array and I want to return this. There's something I'm missing here. I do key. I don't have an ID. So I'll just do person. No. I'll just do person. And I'm actually supposed to. Okay. Okay, so I'll just do index instead. I'll just use the key as my index. Okay, so I'll just do index here. I can spell index. All right. So index passing inside here, and I can just destructure these guys. I'll just say cons. What and what am I getting? I am getting what? Name. I am getting email. I am getting address. And I am equating it to PER. So let's say so const this. Okay, unexpected token. Okay, okay, okay. So yeah, I see where the problem is. Okay, so if I am going to the structure like this, I need to do this guy. And then I need to return. It's a whole lot of parentheses. Okay, so inside here now, I'll just do name. I'll just do, let me just duplicate this. Name, email, and address. Okay, so let's go and play around with this. Let's see. This, this, this. I put this. Wow. Okay, so that was already showing earlier. Okay, let me just put a margin top. Permit me to go and steal code from here. Where did I put that? Test.jsx. Just put this. So back inside controlled inputs. No, not here. So so you see where that and comes into play now. So that and okay, so we are doing a conditional here. We're saying if there is people, so if people exist, and so you display this other array. You display this other array. So let's see. So I'll put this there. I'll just fill my information again. And I put, and automatically I get this. We had. So Austin permits me to use small letter. Then address. Well, we said that you're from Panya. So you see what is happening. So you're able to update this information, update this information. So that is the way controlled input works. You're able to do that, you're able to display. So you see how we display our code. You can actually wrap this inside a div just to separate concerns. So so far so good. So far so good. Anybody has any question so far? Or we understand what is happening? Yeah, Barry.
All right. Sorry to take you guys back. I'm actually confused from let's line 20 to line 24
Okay.
because I'm wondering why I have that there.
Okay, why you have okay, yeah. So the thing is, if we don't have that, your form will not, when we submit, those values would have still been inside here, but you have to reset. Remember, we said this is controlled input, so you have to reset the state back to empty string. You get? So that after submitting, this clears out and it returns an empty string, an empty input so that you can type in a new set of value. I don't know if you get that.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so form validation. So, but as it stands now, I think we can still keep adding and adding and adding and adding. And yeah. So in essence, from what me I'm seeing, it's like we might not do that they change this thing today, but that will now mean in the next class, that's what we'll do. Yes, Ifoma, question.
Okay. Please can you go back to your code?
All right, right. With pleasure.
So this place
Eh,
from that line 20 that you resetted the inputs
Where? Line what?
from that line
Yeah,
20, I did the whole resetting of the input. So
yes,
I was just looking at it. This what you did there is exactly the same thing as what you passed in to the use state.
yes, yes.
So it's not code repetition
Well,
or
the reason what happened is that when I actually set this as an empty object, yes, well, you could argue that we can just set it as an empty object. Remember that these inputs are actually tied. The inputs here, they are tied, the value is tied to this person.name. So that's the reason why I had to automatically, Barry is not well. So that's the reason why, let me just do this so that we get to see it. All right, all right, all right. Okay, so we do this, and when I do this, so you see that this state is still preserved. This state is still preserved. So if there's a better way that you think that we can handle this instead, then we are open to learn that method. But the easiest way is just to reset everything. It's normal state such that after putting this, okay, help me and drop the code. Let me see. So so this is just like a quick way of just doing this. This is just a quick way of doing it. But well, there are ways of avoiding repetition. Yeah. Austin, you can drop what you're saying in the distance. Drop your suggestion in the chat box. Follow it up. So this is a web. If I don't know if you're clear on that. You're clear
Yeah,
on what I mean.
I'm clear, but I was thinking if maybe you assign that to a variable, like this information as a value to a variable, then you can then pass the variable here and also
Oh, is this what you mean? Okay.
okay, yes, I think Austin has done something like that. So that it will cover both for this one and then that use case like
Oh, okay. Okay. Hmm. Well, I'm bass. Okay. Oh.
Abego.
Officially, I'm also a beginner. So, well, my naming convention is wacky. So cleared and then return cleared. No, no. Yeah, right. Okay. Well, that is good. It's good to have you guys around. So let's see. So that works. And well, like you said, it saves the code repetition and all. So very interesting. Very interesting. So I like okay, Precious, I know you asked about getting this information on a different page. Now, the problem with moving information from one page to another is managing states. Managing states. Now, if you store state on this page and then you want to move to another, what do they call it? If you page, definitely you are routing to another page. And what could happen is that your network, your this thing is cleared to another. So to manage that most times is either use context or so move things from one place to another. So that's a way of handling it. That's a way of handling it. Except you're doing everything on the same page, then you can actually manage the states. So it's either you're using a tab, if we get this information, do this or something. So, well, like what I'm doing here, like what I'm doing currently. I don't know if we're clear on that. Are we clear on that? Okay, okay. So, does anybody have any questions? Does anybody have any questions? Can you guys hear me? Let me be certain of that. Yeah, what I'm saying is that if you are, because he asked that, can he get the information on a different page? Can he get the information on a different page? So getting information like even your normal distance, except you're like storing it in local storage and then routing to a different page. That's the way we normally did it in like JavaScript, in plain JavaScript. So moving information from one point to the other, in React, what you can use to achieve that is when you're using like context API. So you're able to like move information from one page to another. It doesn't worry about you routing to another page. Where it worries is when you refresh the page. So that information will not be stored because the state will be reset to an empty state. But if you're just moving information, like as we've submitted this form, it moves it to a different page. What you can do is, if you're not going to use like local storage, you have to um use context API to do that. I don't know if that is clear. Pressure, so does that answer your question? Getting the information on a different page.
Yes, yes. Well, we can do the context API now. But when are we going to do the context API?
Not now. No, we are taking things slowly, so that people will understand what is happening. We'll do it. Thank God. Austin has shouted. So we'll do it gradually, gradually. Okay. So I don't know if is there any other question? Don't worry, you guys will be fine. You guys will be fine. Trust. If it's the way I'm following the curriculum, will be this thing I'm following, you guys will be fine. So just sit back, enjoy the ride. I shall know that I didn't learn it like that, but it's all good. Okay, so that being said, so what I need us to do is, okay, yes, I wanted to talk about validation. These people have stolen the whole this thing. Yes. So for validation, for validation. Okay, so now one bad thing. Ah, don't worry. I think you will learn up to like you learn up to like context. If we're able to, if we get into Redux, hmm, but at least context, we'll do context. Make people even see what they go use first and manage before you start talking about Redux. I'd say this guy in the back now is a bad bad developer. You are here. Just hold him. Oh. Okay, so let's just go on. Let's talk about validation anyway. So we have three input fields, let's say, and then we want to, I think I've actually seen like a couple of things. So let's say, so we can either use our use states. That sounds like use this. I mean, use effect rather. We can just use the snippet. So lazy. Okay. So I will say whenever people changes, and I will just say if we have person, no people, that it. So if we have person, how is it supposed to be? Sorry, this should be person rather. So if we have person, let me use my if statements. If we have person dot name, Okay. So if we have the three values, and then we have email, and then we have person, name, email, and address. Okay, so funny scenario. So let me just do a disabled button first. This is BTN disabled set. Okay, so set is button disabled. Okay, so sorry for the people, the network is just throwing off and on. So I will just do a use state. And I will just set this to let me just do false. So if if this and this, they want to set this button disabled true, and then I will just go to this my button and I will just do the whole disabled. Oops. Okay, so let me see. Does this work? Does this do the trick for us? No. So if, let me see, do I need to refresh this? Mm, okay. Okay. Sorry, let's just for six. Let's do this. Let's trim out the space and let me refresh this. So I'm trying to disable this button when I don't have a value inside it. So let me see. Did I change it? If I change this, no. So if not, okay. Hmm. Okay. So for this scenario, this should be disabled. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. So sorry. I think I'm the cause of my problem here. Okay, so what we are doing is I actually did a cursor pointer, and that's why I'm struggling here. I did a cursor pointer on my button, so I don't even know if it's disabled. So what we are saying is that on initial state, on the initial state, if there is no name, there is no email, there is no password, you want to set the disabled button to true. So that means it's going to be disabled. And just to step further, so, but this is disabled. Okay. So this is disabled. Else. So let me just do no, because this will always run on initial render. It's always run. So this is just for disabling anyway. And let me just come here. So let's say if that passes. So if, oh well, so let's see. So if there is no name, depending on however you want to go about this validation thing. So if there is no name, then we have every other thing. I can just let me see. I hope this works. But I think this will still be disabled because it's requiring all the information. And sorry. I don't think my distance is working. So this is actually not working. So if person, it should be not. So if I don't have a name, I don't have this, I don't have that, that's disabled. So, but then I have 3 of them. So why am I still disabled? Okay. Okay. Yes. Chidubem. Okay, so I think validation is something, something, something. So I'm able to disable this button. And this should actually work. But for some crazy reasons, so okay. Hmm. Okay. This is false. This is only else? So let me just try this out because it's a very dicey and funny situation. Okay, so what am I not doing right? What am I not doing right? So let me remove this use effects thing that I'm doing here. Okay. So if I'm not using this, you can still do your validation thingy inside here. So, but then I'll still come back to that. That is a very funny situation. Name, mail, else. Inside the else here now, you can now put this other guy. Okay, so let's put an email. Okay, I wanted to try out something, and then that guy decided to put an email, put an email. Okay, so this is just one method of doing it. So I think I could actually just do this here. What I was doing earlier. So just trim it because I don't want extra spaces at the. I don't want somebody to just submit. Well, so if I have this, okay. So if I have this, please put I'm just trying to buttress a point here anyway. So please put your info. Even if I try again, please put your info. So you can do this inside here. You can just do your validation within the whole submit stuff. Or you can do that as an external function and probably pass it inside. So, so this is this. I wanted to try out something here, but I think I'm not getting, I didn't get it properly. And that's why it's like that. So I don't know. Does anybody have any question? Because I will handle this in the next class. And when I'm certain of what I'm trying to do here, I don't want to keep flogging and flogging around this. Austin, do you have like a heads up of what to do for validation now? Okay. Okay. All right. All right. So guys, I will check that up. And unfortunately, we're not able to do the this thing. So what we are going to do in the next class, we're just going to brush up the color changing this thing, and we are going to do the disabling the bottle. This disabled stuff that I'm trying to do here. So those are the two things that we'll do. Then from there we'll now we'll continue on look at other hooks. So any other question? Yeah, this is we've not even got some calm down, calm down. When you start applying all these things, you start applying all these things, then you understand the routing you appreciate it more. We'll get to routing. Yeah, so I'll just push. I don't know. I didn't push in. Precious, I didn't push that code the last time. This, but that will now mean that you have to go to you have to check it inside there. It's commits. So if you need an update commits dash am. Okay, so I think that is where we're going to stop for today. And yeah, any challenge, please drop on the channel so that and we'll learn together. And yeah, always try to improve on yourself. Keep studying, keep trying things out. You get better by practicing. All right, so I think that's where we'll stop. Have a nice and great day ahead. Awesome. All right, take care.